think we're being, I don't want to say sleazy, 'cause that's not the right word, but a little irresponsible.
Wedding Crashers arrived at the peak of the bromantic comedy, taking its cues from the rom-com genre, but focusing instead on male friendship. The bromance dominated the 2000s with stories about immature guys who suddenly find themselves forced to grow up.
I'm gonna be there to rear your child.
You hear that, Ben? Don't let him near the kid. He wants to rear your child.
In Wedding Crashers, this happens for Owen Wilson's John and Vince Vaughn's Jeremy, a couple of bachelor playboys who spend their summers sneaking into weddings just to sleep with women, until they meet two sisters who throw their whole lifestyle into question.
You can't marry this guy.
Why?
Because I'm falling for you.
By the end of the film, John and Jeremy seem to have renounced their promiscuous ways and appear ready for a lifetime of stable monogamy.
Do you mind if I get married now?
But have they really learned their lesson? And what lessons does the movie leave us with?
Don't waste your time on girls with hats. They tend to be very proper.
Yeah? The proper girl in the hat just the shit out of me.
Throughout the film, we watch John and Jeremy objectify women, con their way into bed, and generally treat everyone like pawns in their own sexual game.
Would you say you're completely full of shit or just 50%?
I hope just 50, but who knows?
Here's our take on some of the most toxic takeaways from Wedding Crashers and how this bromance shows little love for anyone else.
One day you'll look back on all this and laugh. Say we were young and stupid.
You're watching The Take. Let us know your take.
Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. We love breaking down toxic takeaways in film and TV, but we want only the best when it comes to our internet experience. That's why we love NordVPN, the world's fastest and most secure virtual private network. Click the link in the description below, nordvpn.com/thetake, to get 68% off a 2-year plan. That's only $3.71 per month. And enter the code THETAKE to get 4 extra months of NordVPN for free. Toxic takeaway number 1. Lying is okay because you can't hide true feelings. At its root, Wedding Crashers is a story about guys whose hobby is lying.
Purple Hearts. We won't have to pay for a drink all night.
John and Jeremy pretend to be army veterans, firefighters, and nigh mythical heroes.
We lost a lot of good men out there.
Wow, really? Mount Everest?
Just don't like to talk about it because we lost so many good men out there.
They crash Indian, Irish, and Jewish weddings, adopting fake personas with just a dash of cultural insensitivity.
Sanjay Collins?
Chuck Pendeloo? Excited to be here.
They present themselves as someone else, with the sole purpose of manipulating women into sleeping with them. John and Jeremy are knowingly misleading these women while taking advantage of their emotions.
We are going to have tons and tons of opportunities to meet gorgeous ladies that are so aroused by the thought of marriage that they'll throw their inhibitions to the wind.
It's the entire joke of the movie. And it's also what activist Joyce M. Short has called rape by fraud. When you lie to someone to induce sex, you are sexually assaulting someone, Short has argued, noting that genuine consent can only occur when you are fully and honestly informed about whom you're sleeping with. Knowing this casts their behavior in a new light, though it's not something the filmmakers were unaware of. As director David Dobkin recalled in an oral history of the film, the studio's marketing department expressed those concerns early on, saying, "I don't know how we're gonna sell this movie. These guys are predators."
Tattoo on the lower back. Might as well be a bullseye.
Dobkin's response was that these guys make the weddings better. You would want them to crash your wedding.
All right, let's go. Let's make a memory.
He argues that John and Jeremy aren't just seducing women, but everyone with their genuine love of weddings and spreading authentic joy. What does it matter if they're doing it with lies? This is one of the film's biggest takeaways, that deception doesn't matter so long as the feelings beneath them are true. It's the underlying theme of the relationship between John and Rachel McAdams' Claire as well. John meets Claire under false pretenses and a fake name,
John Ryan.
Claire Cleary.
deceiving her throughout the film about who he really is and what his intentions are. But we're meant to root for John anyway because we're repeatedly told his attraction is based on real feelings.
That was really me. Maybe not my name, I'm John Beckwith, by the way, or my job, but the feelings we felt,
The film also contrasts John's deception against that of Claire's fiancé, Zach, who's cheating on her and who's revealed to be not the kind man he pretends to be in public.
She's saving the world, one maladjusted kid at a time, but that'll all change when we're married, because I want a wife. I don't want a martyr, right?
Compared to Zach, John's duplicity is portrayed as excusable. Deception is also at the heart of the romance between Jeremy and Isla Fisher's Gloria, on both sides. Jeremy seduces Gloria with another invented tale of heroism.
So you dove into the icy water? I mean, why would a man risk his own life for the life of a complete stranger?
But it turns out Gloria has been lying to him too, letting him believe she's far more innocent than she lets on.
That doesn't mean...
I wasn't a virgin.
What?
Again, this manipulation doesn't matter. They embark on a love affair that's based entirely on dishonesty, both of them accepting that the ends justify the means.
But I, was looking to take advantage of something too, so could I really feel that bad? It's not like I was who I was. You know what I'm saying? So fair play.
Toxic takeaway number 2, sex is a game you win at all costs. Wedding Crashers offers a veritable playbook for seduction, one that comes with a set of techniques and prescribed rules for picking up women.
I'm gonna go with the balloon animal display for the kids. And then when she comes close to check it out, guess who's a broken man?
In many ways, the film echoes Neil Strauss's controversial bestseller, The Game, Penetrating the Secret Society of Pickup Artists, released the same year. Both are about men who treat sex like a competition. Both give those men a how-to manual for sealing the deal.
Draw attention to yourself, but on your own terms.
Please don't quote the rules to me. I know them.
And both recommend avoiding blatant come-ons in favor of strategies like creating an emotional connection by whatever means necessary.
Look, I knew I was never gonna be a professional bullfighter. But that's not why I did it.
Weren't you scared?
Can I say yes?
A generous reading of Wedding Crashers would be to call it a satire of pickup artistry. After all, most of the stories John and Jeremy tell are clearly ridiculous.
Last week I did a exact replica to scale of Wrigley Field. Honest to God, I don't have anywhere to put it.
However, we also see that they work, and we also see that they have almost zero scruples about getting there. As GQ Scott Meslow notes during the opening montage of John and Jeremy's various conquests, there are plenty of pop champagne bottles, but Wedding Crashers intentionally dances around whether any of these women are drunk, which would add yet another unsavory layer to the scheme.
And all the while, you're just really wondering, are we gonna get hopped up enough to make some bad decisions? And perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip.
This amoral attitude even extends to the filmmaking light of actual assault. At one point, John attempts to get some time alone with Claire by drugging Zach's drink with eye drops. It's a scene that, as the record reports, is alleged to have inspired a number of copycat crimes, including a Milwaukee teenager who was nearly killed by classmates imitating the prank.
Are you okay?
Well, Claire, my head's buried in a toilet. What do you think?
Yet the film seems to think that all's fair in love and war.
I'm gonna give you the damn eye drops. I don't want them, it's too hardcore. Do you want to be alone with her or not?
One of Wedding Crashers' most controversial set pieces takes this even further, with Gloria tying up and gagging Jeremy before coercing him into sex. Again, it's a moment that's played for laughs.
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, John. I'm fried.
Soft mattress?
Yeah, that could have been it. It could have been the soft mattress, or it could have been the midnight rape.
John immediately brushes off Jeremy's assault. It's just sex, after all.
Try one of these scones, you're gonna love them.
I'm a little too traumatized to have a scone.
Meanwhile, Jeremy dismisses John's own non-consensual sexual encounter with Claire's mother, Kathleen.
What, a hot older woman made you feel her cans? Stop crying like a little girl.
It treats sex like a sport you never stop playing, no matter who gets hurt. Toxic takeaway number 3, straight white men hold all the power. Throughout Wedding Crashers, it's John and Jeremy who hold all the cards when it comes to pursuing women. So it's notable that their being pursued right back leaves them feeling uncomfortable.
It's hot out here.
Yeah, it is.
You should have played in your underwear.
Jane Seymour's Kathleen is an older and sexually confident woman, and naturally the film turns her into a lecherous cougar.
Feel them.
What?
I said feel them.
Kathleen's daughter Gloria has a similar agency, and she exercises it by taking advantage of Jeremy the way he took advantage of her.
I'm gonna make all your fantasies come true.
But this is not a fan.
Both women own their sexuality, and of course, John and Jeremy feel threatened by it. As Carol Diehouse wrote for Literary Hub, it's been this way since the Victorian age, where men have been allowed a degree of license while women were caged in by expectations of chastity and virtue.
I wasn't a virgin. Far from it. I just thought that's what guys wanted to hear.
This has created a double standard where rampant females are seen as posing a particular threat to the social order. In Wedding Crashers, that order relies on heterosexual men retaining all the control.
Let's keep our eye on the prize, let's focus, and let's close some ass.
This principle is also reflected in the film's sole gay character, Todd. Todd is reduced to a stereotype, and he's repeatedly ridiculed and othered by his own family.
He's a homo.
The film also makes him out to be something of a predator, who again leaves the straight man feeling threatened.
We had a moment at the dinner table, didn't we?
No, we did not have a moment at the dinner table.
Yes, we had a moment.
It's a depiction that plays into the trope of the depraved homosexual.
I call the painting Celebration. It's sexual and violent. I thought you might like it.
John and Jeremy seem far more rattled by all of these characters than, say, getting beaten up by Sack and his cronies.
Booyah! That's what we call a sacked lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
They're only really afraid of losing sexual dominance, which only they are allowed to wield. Toxic takeaway number 4, sentimentality will get you everywhere. The secret to John and Jeremy's ability to ingratiate themselves isn't just a good lie. It's also their shrewd exploitation of sentimentality.
You know how they say we only use 10% of our brains? I think we only use 10% of our hearts.
As Electric Glitz Elisa Gabbert describes, sentimentality is using emotional tropes to trick you into thinking you're feeling something when actually you're just recognizing the outlines of a familiar emotion. We see this illustrated over and over again through John and Jeremy's fake personas and made-up stories, which are almost ludicrously tragic.
Shlomo had a scuba diving accident. Yeah, he came up too fast and the oxygen deprivation. Poor guy doesn't remember anyone, even me, his own brother.
Women are drawn to them because they're theatrically vulnerable.
I saw you at the wedding.
And?
You were crying.
Oh, shit, you weren't supposed to see that. Now you probably think I'm a big...
No, you were so sweet.
And they're able to convince almost everyone that they're sensitive and deep solely through the deployment of mawkish platitudes.
Do you know what that awareness is, Gloria?
What?
That we're all one.
It's sentimentality that allows John to win Claire over almost immediately, disarming her cynical dismissal of weddings with his clearly rehearsed patter about true love.
What's true love?
True love is your soul's recognition of its counterpoint in another.
Claire knows he's giving her a cliche, and even John admits it.
Well, it's a little cheesy, but I like it.
I saw it on a bumper sticker.
But that doesn't stop Claire from using it in her wedding toast.
True love is the soul's recognition of its counterpoint in another.
Or from recognizing just how effective it is. And even knowing the emptiness behind it doesn't stop Claire from falling prey to John's continued reliance on sentimentality to woo her. Right up to his use of that old rom-com chestnut, the grand romantic gesture.
Because the person I love the most is standing right here. And I'm not ready to lose you yet.
And once again, it works. Like Claire, the film starts out mocking sentimentality, but it only ends up validating it.
It'd be a total cliche if I kissed you right now.
Yes.
Toxic takeaway number 5. It's other people's responsibility to look out for you.
Are you sure you've been okay? This does not look like a guy who's been okay.
We're not spared from sentimentality either. The film asks us to sympathize with John and excuse all his misbehavior by giving him a tragic backstory.
I guess it is a little creepy when a young man, who happens to be an only child, loses both of his parents in a tragic accident 1 month before his birthday.
We see how much he needs a family. He's excited not just at the prospect of being with Claire, but being around her father, whose approval he clearly seeks.
Your argument for the inverse ratio of capitalization to debt was genius. Now, if we can just get Congress not to be so short-sighted.
Yes!
John has an obvious need for support. Jeremy isn't just a friend to him, he's something like a surrogate brother.
Get on in here, let the big bear get his paws on you.
When Jeremy decides he wants to be with Gloria, John sees this only in terms of their relationship.
I love her.
You're unbelievable. Judas!
Left on his own, John quickly spirals into depression and loses all hope.
Love doesn't exist. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys, and I'm not picking on love, because I don't think friendship exists either.
John shows a total absence of self-reliance. He's completely unable to picture a future where he looks after himself by himself. He's so desperate for guidance, he even turns to Will Ferrell's OG wedding crasher Chaz, a man he previously derided as a kook.
He lived with his mother till he was 40. She tried to poison his oatmeal.
Chaz shows John exactly where the codependent, emotionally stunted man can end up if he refuses to take responsibility for himself.
You hungry? Hey, Ma! Can we get some meatloaf?
But it's not Chaz that ultimately spurs John to take action. It's the sight of a grieving widow, stoking John's fear of being alone that sends him racing to find the people who can fix him instead of figuring out how to fix himself. Toxic takeaway number 6. The right woman can redeem anyone. From the very first scene of Wedding Crashers, John and Jeremy's attitude toward monogamy is made crystal clear.
Guys, the real enemy here is the institution of marriage. It's not realistic, it's crazy.
However, by the end, both have abandoned those long-held principles. They're reformed playboys suddenly desperate to settle down.
I think that I'm ready to take this relationship, our relationship, to the next level.
But this transformation isn't about realizing the error of their ways. In the end, all it takes is being tamed by the right woman. The film suggests this from the very moment we meet Claire, who's introduced via a narrative-breaking male gaze that puts her on a symbolic pedestal. We're meant to understand immediately that Claire is the one.
You are a big hit at this wedding.
What? Everyone's so nice. It's easy.
Of course, the fallacy of the one or the right woman is that it implies that all those other women were somehow wrong, that they failed to be worthy of changing for because they were less virtuous or otherwise lacking. Sigmund Freud describes this dichotomy as the Madonna whore complex, the tendency for men to divide women into two camps: the loving, nurturing, pure woman and the depraved, sexual, desirable woman. Unlike the many other women in the film, Claire avoids being sexualized. She's repeatedly made out to be different, smarter, more knowing, and less naive.
Through sickness and health, clear skies and squalls.
Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat.
The film suggests that the onus is on the women to change these men. John may begin the movie questioning whether he and Jeremy have been behaving irresponsibly, but in the end, he doesn't have to reckon with any of that, because Claire allows him a new chapter. Jeremy, meanwhile, doesn't have to change at all. Gloria promises him a form of married life that leaves the door open for all his wildest sexual fantasies.
Do you want to watch me with a girl? What about those Brazilian twins we met at the ball game?
This, of course, is its own fantasy. According to psychologist and relationship coach Sue DeSanto, most playboys don't change for women.
I'm not gonna apologize, I'm a coxman.
And director David Dobkin himself has said that any hypothetical Wedding Crashers sequel would probably find John and Jeremy as men that are in their late 40s who suddenly find themselves single again and trying to go back to dating. Or, as Scott Meslow more bluntly put it for GQ, it's hard to imagine McAdams and Fisher would have stayed with these creepy losers for long.
It was juvenile.
I'm pathetic.
Yeah, that's probably the best word to describe it.
Okay, so Wedding Crashers isn't entirely without heart. Like most bromantic comedies, it's really about the relationship between John and Jeremy.
Hey! Hey! He's the best man.
Even if their behavior towards women is steeped in deception, at least these guys allowed themselves to be open and vulnerable with each other. And this proved surprisingly progressive for the era it was released.
You know I love you.
But the real problem with Wedding Crashers, as with so much of its genre, is that it not only normalizes, but romanticizes its characters' arrested development, suggesting that so long as there's a woman who's willing to put up with it, a man can continue acting like an oblivious, self-centered child.
There's cartoons, your mom, and it's like, you still got it. Look at her. Just living the dream. I love that.
John and Jeremy end the film having learned 0 lessons, still convinced that they're basically good people. For them, the party never has to stop.
Fujimura wedding, 3 p.m.
Hey.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying.
It would have great tempura.
The film's main takeaway is that boys will be boys. That most toxic of mantras that has long been used to excuse the worst of male behavior. Wedding Crashers is a movie about men who love themselves more than anyone else. And that's the kind of love story that can provoke a lot of laughter, but also cause a lot of damage.
But you know what? It also led me to you. So it's hard for me to completely regret it.
If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about all our new videos. This video is brought to you by NordVPN, the ultimate resource in internet security. NordVPN encrypts your internet traffic and hides your IP address and virtual location. It's the best way to ensure that third parties can't spy on your online activity. With more of us working from home than ever before, NordVPN is the only VPN we trust to keep our information safe and secure. It's also the best way to ensure that our team can share large amounts of data from different locations. Plus, NordVPN unlocks all your favorite movies and shows that may not be available on streaming services in your country. So click the link in the description below, nordvpn.com/thetake, to get 68% off a 2-year plan. That's only $3.71 per month. And enter the code THETAKE to get 4 extra months of NordVPN for free.